Daughter of the Dales by Diane Allen. Read by Anne Dover. Chapter 1. Skipton, Yorkshire, 1913. "Get on, Bess!" 16-year-old Luke Fox snapped the reins across the back of the exhausted and sweating horse, which he'd been told to take care of by Jethro, as he had handed the horse to him. All Luke could think was that he had to undertake the task of telling his mother that his grandmamma was near death, as he swept his hair back out of his eyes. He was dreading having to tell her the news, but knew that it was a son's duty to do so. The early summer's warm sun beat down upon him, and sweat was pouring off both him and the horse as they reached their destination, Skipton High Street. He was breathless, exhausted, and thankful that he'd got there safely, as he fumbled with the reins while he tied the knackered steed to a safe hold along the setts of the High Street. The horse and trap had flown like the wind from his grandmother's home at Langcliffe to Skipton, a distance of 12 miles, to where both his parents were at work in the family business, Atkinson's department store. In a bid to tell his urgent news, he had driven the trap too hard, and knew it, he thought, as he looked back at the sweating horse. As he pushed through the shining glass and brass revolving doors, he was thrust into the highly perfumed shop floor of the sprawling and busy Atkinson empire. A young shop girl sniggered when Luke nearly stumbled, and then quickly corrected herself as she seemed to realize who the unsteady shopper was. "Where are my mother and father?" Luke asked anxiously, correcting his apparel quickly and blushing at the shame-faced girl. "Up the stairs, sir. Your mother is taking a fitting and your father is in his photography studio." The shop girl pointed through the many rows of scarves and accessories that filled the ground floor of the most prestigious shop in the Dales. Luke made his way past all the shoppers in their finery, who were intent on browsing the luxuries that Atkinson's provided, sniffing at the perfumes and inspecting the latest in fur goods. With his head down, he reached the bottom of the stairs, flushed and anxious to tell his news to his parents. "Luke, what are you doing here?" James Fox stood at the top of the stairs and looked down at his son, as he pondered how Luke had got there and why he was on his own. "It's Grandmamma. She's dying. I had to come. Jethro couldn't find Ethan to come and tell you, and he couldn't come himself because he had a horse foaling." Luke had decided to be the bearer of the news, instead of Jethro's son, the stable boy Ethan, who had disappeared as usual, probably to wander and wonder at the surrounding countryside, a regular occupation of his. Luke's voice rang out up the stairs to his father, making the shop girls stop in their tracks, and the shoppers shake their heads in acknowledgement of the bad news that Charlotte Atkinson, the owner of Atkinson's, was on her deathbed. "Quiet, boy. Now, tell me, how bad is she?" James came down and stood at the bottom of the stairs, before placing his hand on his son's shoulder to calm him down. "The doctor says she'll not be with us much longer, and that Mother has to come home. He says Grandmamma's had a stroke. Grandpapa found her this morning. She can't move." Luke looked pleadingly into his father's eyes, secretly regretting now that he'd been so hasty to become the bearer of such bad news, and realizing just what his message meant to the family. He hung his head and wiped his nose with the back of his hand. He wouldn't cry. Young men did not cry and show their emotions, although his grandmamma was the mainstay of the family, and he loved her dearly. "Good man for coming to tell your mother." James patted his son's shoulders. "I'll go and tell her. Go and see to your horse. Take it to the livery stable at the Red Line and ask for a fresh one to take you home, or ask for someone to take you both." He looked around the shop floor, where the staff were trying to go about their jobs while being aware of the family tragedy unfolding.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?